poppin', everyone? We are Minds That Matter. I'm your girl, Tassie Janae Jones. We got my girl, Shamoni.
Hey.
And we also got my dog, Nicole.
What's good?
So today for our episode, we definitely want to touch on relationships. We want to speak about having kids in relationships, getting married, reevaluating yourself as individuals in a relationship, and kind of different perspectives on these situations. So, a lot of people have been discussing the difference between committing to each other and committing to a child. Like, a lot of people don't feel the same about marriage anymore, but it seems like everyone is having babies. Like, even baby showers are as elaborate as a wedding nowadays. Like, gender reveals and all this stuff. So I guess my question to you guys, because I know both of you feel differently about having kids. I know both of you feel differently about getting married or being committed in a certain type of relationship. So why is it okay to commit to a child but not to each other?
Personally, I still don't feel like I have to be married to have a child. I think now it's more so people don't, I said this before, I don't think people value marriage like they used to. And to me, I want a marriage to be a lifelong commitment. I also think that people are scared of commitment. Like, they'll commit long as they know they have the option to leave, if that makes sense. So I think that they'll be with you for a long time, possibly even a lifetime, but long as they don't have to attach a title to it or a contract, because that's essentially what a marriage is a contract.
Absolutely.
Okay. But me personally, I want to get married, but I think I have more of an interest in finding somebody who I know and can trust will help me raise these children properly. So if a child comes before the marriage, I'm perfectly fine with that, as long as I know that this person is willing to take care of their kid and got my back, and we can respect each other, and we can parent clean. And what I mean by we can respect
functional.
Each other. Exactly, it's functional, and we can respect these kids and make sure they're productive as citizens in the world. I'm okay with not being married and having kids.
Mm-hmm. For me, of course, if I get married, I expect to be in that marriage until one of us dies. And if one of us dies, I will still die being that person's wife. I'm not going to die being their ex-wife, their girlfriend, their baby mama, none of that. That's not my goal. But I am much more willing to commit to marrying somebody versus committing to having a child with somebody outside of the marriage, only because I think having children with somebody is a very important lifelong commitment. And who you choose to be your child's parent says a lot about how the child will be brought up,
I agree.
And I just refuse to even have somebody that's not committed to being my child's parent, or I could say father, my child's father, being in their life. Like, I'm not going to have kids with somebody who I think is going to do a shitty job at it, Now, if I accidentally do that, then I'm going to take 100% responsibility for that shit. But
yes,
other than that, like, we have ties. You can't have something that precious to me, if I'm not even worthy of being your wife, like, no, I'm sorry. Like, a child is a lifelong commitment, just like the marriage is. And I'm not trying to play around with either one of them,
And do you guys believe, because it happens all the time, especially on social media, where, during the time someone is in a situation with one another, they're in a very small relationship, or I should say temporary relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They end up pregnant. The person has the child thinking that the child is going to keep that person.
Mm-mm.
And that person does their own thing, and now they're quote unquote a deadbeat. And now this person is blasting them on social media. You ain't been taking care of your baby. You ain't paid no child support. Your baby need diapers, your food, or we need rent, or our lights is off, or we hungry. And it becomes a we instead of the baby, because the feelings wasn't just tied to the child. You still have feelings for this individual who you wanted commitment from.
Right.
And they didn't return the same feelings back to
Right.
you.
It's not reciprocated.
So exactly.
Mhm.
So do you think that's why a lot of babies are popping up, because people are falling into the wrong types of commitment with the wrong people who aren't giving it back towards them?
Absolutely. And they're doing that with the hopes of the person changing, the person turning
Right.
things around, and they think that the baby will change something. In reality, it does not. If that person does not want you from day one, that baby probably will make that worse, because now it's a lifelong tie to you that they didn't sign up for, that they didn't want to have. So now it's kind of like, damn, I have this baby with this person and I really don't want to be involved in this person's life like that. So it's going to be a lot of resentment. You're not going to be seeing the same type of feelings reciprocated that you are giving out to that person, because it's not what they want. You can't make somebody want the same things that you want, you know?
Right.
And that's a problem. And a lot of times the mother or the father suffers, you know, but more importantly, the child suffers all the time, because they see that, you know, the other parent, the parent who does not necessarily want the child, will do a half-ass job, if at all. And then, of course, you know, people will go to social media to bash others because they want other people to know this person is portraying to be so great, but in reality, they have 2 or 3 kids they don't see.
Yeah.
They don't want to do this. They want you to know that this person is not being as real as they claim to be. And in my opinion, you're never going to have to preach about how real somebody is, because the people who recognize the real going to always recognize the real.
Like, they know this person got kids, but this person never with them kids.
Exactly. So they're going to know. You don't even have to be preaching.
You're a chump for that
At
too.
the end of the day, you getting on Facebook or social media in general and bashing the other person is just saying a lot more about your character than it is saying about the person that you bashing. So
right, because all you need to worry about is just worry about you and yours. Do what you got to do as a parent, and keep that child in a positive and comfortable and loving environment. They're not even going to notice the difference. When they get older, then they can assess the situation. But the babies don't need to know what's going on. Babies don't need to understand and see the pain or anger or resentment. Like,
that really makes me mad when people do that too. Like, don't put these kids in the middle of y'all bullshit. Like, don't do that, because that just kills their childhood. Like, and sometimes this stuff can be inevitable. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I know a couple of situations where it's kind of just happened. Like, maybe walk into some mess, or a baby want to know why this is going on, and they getting old enough to understand. Like, I get that, but for the most part, let a child be a child, bro. Like, that's the most precious and most that's like the formative years. Like, I really didn't believe that until I got old, and I'm starting to assess myself and be like, oh shit, like that really happened because of something that happened to me when I was a kid. Like, everything stems back to when you're a child. So let a kid grow up and with a mind untoxic, and let them form their own opinions, so that way they can be the best person that they're they are set out to be. Like,
right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, and that's a lot of times, you know, this also happens because people are not sure of their feelings, and they're not aware of their traumas, or, you know, they have a lot of insecurities, or they think that they might be in love with somebody, but it's lust. You know, they're confusing the two, or they really don't know the difference of the two, because, you know, there's a kind of a cycle that we always tend to follow. You know, we follow patterns a lot, and they may not really be aware of. You know, so they may think that this person is the one, you know, because of X, Y, and Z reasons, but in reality, once they step outside that situation and they learn and they grow from it, then they see the real. They understand now. So then, most likely, hopefully, the next time they choose to get into a situation like that, they'll be aware of all of the past activities and feelings and emotions and stuff that were brought on by that relationship or situationship. But again, you know, that kind of makes the baby suffer, because then the baby grows up not really having a sure answer about what love is and what's right, and how they should act, and how they're supposed to feel, how they're supposed to be treated, you know, things of that nature.
Right.
Facts. And I said this earlier to somebody. I was like, have you ever realized hurt people hurt people? Like, that sounds so like cliche, but it's the truth. When you you haven't restored yourself and you really don't know what you want or what your flaws are or what you need to improve on, you do not need to be in a relationship and bringing a baby into that situation because it's already broken.
Exactly. And the baby is not going to seal those cracks. I'm trying to tell you, it can crack that foundation.
And when you bring a baby into that, you cracking their foundation. So you're hurting two people more.
You're already fucking the next generation up.
Yeah. So like people really need to take the time to evaluate themselves. Like they say, our generation ain't having kids. Well, bro, y'all fucked us up, and y'all want
yeah, motherfuckers are scared to have a family now because we don't even know how to be loved, and we don't know what love is. We don't even know how to
love ourselves enough to love the next person and commit.
So what we doing is great. We don't need to be bringing nobody in the world.
Nobody. I'm sorry.
Supposed to go.
So can you guys both give some examples of different traumas or insecurities that individuals may be facing that they don't even realize? Just naming a few. When you guys name them, like what can they do as if they're listening, like, because they might not even know that they're the person in the relationship that is doing this to the other person and the child. So I need you guys to name some trauma or insecurities that they may be facing that's being toxic in the relationship as a parent or as a significant other. And then what do they need to do besides reevaluating themselves in order to become a better person?
I think that the first thing that comes to mind for me is self-hate, not loving yourself, not putting yourself first, putting everyone else's needs and emotions or, above
you better
in front of your own, constantly wearing yourself down, trying to please the next person. And you start to feel like you don't know who you are because you're so wrapped up in trying to give your all to somebody who's not worthy of it or to somebody who's not reciprocating that same energy. So you don't know how it's supposed to be going on. It's kind of like a parasitic relationship, and it's one-sided. Right. You're giving and the other person is taking without sharing anything with you. So, I mean,
and that's any type of relationship too.
Yeah, relationships, friendships, family, anybody can be in a parasitic relationship just like that. And I think that number one, before going into anything with someone else, you need to be so secure in how you feel about yourself as far as what you're worth, what you are willing to take and what you are not willing to take. And knowing that you deserve much more than somebody is giving you, set your boundaries, set your limits for sure, because that's going to be important when you kind of like are in a relationship with somebody and okay, you'll say one day like enough is enough when you reach that fed up point, and you don't want to get to the fed up point or the breaking point because a lot of times you're too far gone. So I think that being secure in who you are, knowing what you want, and knowing your boundaries and your limits is a good way to steer away from losing yourself in a friendship or a relationship. And that's probably one of the number one insecurities is, people think that when you're in a relationship, you have to become one person, but I don't think that that's necessarily true. It's two people sharing,
it's a blended thing.
It's two people sharing a world, or like you said, it's blended. It's not necessarily neither one of you have identities. Make sure that you keep your own identity.
I'm going to just piggyback off of what Nicole says too, because personally, I've been through that situation to where I'm the person taking on everybody else's burdens, and I'm like kind of depressing myself. So when I finally decided to start taking charge for myself and being responsible only for myself and trying to put myself first, people were thinking like, oh, she's being brand new. Like, no, this has nothing to do with me being brand new.
Right.
I'm just learning to take care of me first. And if I'm not straight, then I'm not going to be straight enough to help any of y'all.
Exactly.
So, sorry, y'all, I'm just getting over a cold. But I was saying that to say, if you don't know where you stand and you don't know where your flaws are, you can't be in a relationship productively. Like, there's nothing's going to blossom from that because all it is negativity feeding off negativity. So essentially, I was broken and I went into a relationship with an even more broke person trying to help them fix their shit, and that shit just crumbled.
It just crumbled, bro.
It just crumbled.
And that's really important. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
People don't understand that you really do need to take the time to evaluate yourself and get yourself somewhere mentally stable, so that way you can come into another situation with another person and y'all can make magic together.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so how does a person do that from jump? Like, I know for sure, like myself, like I like to remember the things that I love, because sometimes you forget in a relationship. You so focused on trying to please the other person that you
Trying
forget
to like
things
find
that you
interest in the
like
things
to
that they
do.
like because it's important to them. You're not realizing like, yo, I really hate this shit. Like, this is not for me. Yeah.
Right. This is not you. Like, you got to figure out, I think, some steps a person can take when, like you said, like you get depressed, you're broken, and you use so much energy to fill someone else's burden because they're broken as well, and it's just not working. You got, in order to find or love yourself, I think one thing a person should definitely do is figure out what made you happy. You've been happy before. I don't care how old you were. What made you smile? I don't care if it's painting or coloring, reading a book, listening to music. Download some music that you might love and start listening to different songs and lyrics that inspire you. Go dancing. Dance in the shower. Dance in the fucking
Don't
rain.
dance in the shower. You will bust your ass.
Don't bust your ass. But I mean, like, whatever. Sing in the shower.
Okay.
Like, whatever your favorite thing to do is. Just do it. Binge watch something. That way you can be in a whole different reality for a minute. And
meditate. Like, that sounds so crazy, but I literally meditate.
And people do it all the time.
Yeah, I never like sit down and meditate. Like, I can be in the shower, bitch, I was on out something so cold. Yeah. You can be like chat, and you cannot. I will not respond to you because that's just my sanity. Like, I gotta restore myself.
Some people take a nice drive. If you got gas, of course, I know times is hard. Take a nice drive. Be careful, of course. Know your surroundings. Sit somewhere and just, like you said, meditate. Find a way to clear your mind and your soul and become happy again. Once you become happy, create a routine and keep developing a good, positive day, something to look forward to. Because sometimes if you don't have something to look forward to, you're depressed because you're like stuck in a routine and you're still stuck in the situation with the individual, and it's just an unhappy situation. Do you guys have any other steps that someone who needs to, either fix their insecurities or find themselves or get out of a depression or happiness in a relationship?
I don't know how, sorry, Shannon, I don't know how one can necessarily do this, but stop seeking validation from other people.
From others.
Because that's when you really start to become insecure, when you seek the
bitch, I'm over here snapping.
Others. Please snap, because this is easy for people to do, being that social media is so popping. People see other people's lives and they think like, damn, this is how shit need to be, and they're getting.
But you never know what credit score that motherfucker got to get what they want. What
sleeping on an air mattress on the floor, got a sheet hanging in their window, like shit like that. Motherfuckers on social media are living just as bad as you are, but they portraying it to be something else, and you see the love they get, so you think that that's the love you need to be getting. That's the type of validation you want. But
they babies got that nice one outfit, but ain't ate today.
I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Let the opinions that other people have of you go. Because at the end of the day, it does not matter, especially if it's somebody that's not even like beneficial in your life at all.
You just like them because they have social media. People make them feel poppin'. They got all the likes and all that, and they're really popular in the social media world. But is that person beneficial in your life? Is that someone you can call on to be there for you?
Are they helping you with anything? Shit like that. There's somebody that always has something to say, but don't never lend a helping hand. Fuck what they got going on.
I was gonna say too. Some of these social media couples and shit that people look up to, like the younger generations, or even just some of the people that they watch, essentially, everybody ain't as happy as they portray to be. They trying to get a check. Let's remember that.
For real.
So you see these people breaking up and they devastated because then they got to go explain to the whole world why they was looking happy 2 days ago, but
in reality,
tomorrow they broke up. Like, you know what I'm saying? So everything ain't as cut and dry as people make it.
Exactly.
Everything.
So we said, reevaluate yourself, find out what makes you happy, and focus on you. Stop seeking validation from others. And you know what? A lot of people, in a matter of fact, when you're in a relationship with someone, because we gotta retract back to being in a relationship and having kids. Whoever you decide to be in a relationship with, that person should care for you as much as you care about you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about that specific individual.
Right.
It's not about pleasing or impressing one person.
And that makes
like
a good point, because if you demonstrate that you don't give a fuck about yourself, the next person is not going to give a fuck about you.
They're not going to give a fuck about you. They're going to treat you like shit. And that's going to bring up a whole nother topic, because like that's how domestic violence is kind of blossoms into certain relationships, because people start treating others like shit, with women or men who have like low self-esteem. And that'll be another episode. But make sure you're with someone who cares about you as much as you care about you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be with someone, and you have to keep the same energy. Keep the same energy, because I don't want you to be the individual who's the person who's being a piece of shit
Right.
to the person who loves you,
Right.
who cares for you, who's there for you, who makes sure you good. You know, someone who appreciates you and does everything that needs to be done for you. You have to do that for that other person as well. And that's what's going to keep a happy and positive relationship. And then if you guys decide to have children, good for you. Keep the same energy with the child. Be there for the child. Have responsibility and love and care and compassion for your child. I didn't really give my own personal opinion, since I'm already in a marriage and relationship. I really wanted to see your guys' perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I absolutely think, in my opinion, it makes sense to be in a marriage and then have a baby, or whichever order you want to have it. You have your baby, have marriage. I just think both are important, because when you're bringing a person into the world,
Mm-hmm.
and you're about to be committed to somebody, why in the world would you not want to be committed to me? Like, being pregnant is tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I only want to go through that type of thing with someone that I'm down with for life. Like, labor is excruciating, and you're really, this is the way that the most affectionate way you can show that you love
Is
somebody.
bringing a child into the world with them, carrying
Yes.
a whole human being.
Whew.
But do y'all think, and I really personally think this is true, do y'all think that because of how society was formed from way back in the day, people put pressure on marriages? Because a marriage essentially is just a piece of paper.
I don't believe that anymore. I used to think that.
I do. I still believe it. And tell me how it isn't, because I need to understand it. Because I personally think it's just a piece of paper.
That you have every right to believe whatever you like to believe.
No, but I'm trying to
Because
understand why you think the way you think.
Because earlier you kept saying that people like to be committed if they have a way to leave. Like, as long as they have an option to leave, they're down to be committed with you. I'm like, in a marriage, leaving is you're not even worried about that. You're investing everything within this individual, intimacy, life, everything. And I think we discussed this. This was just a conversation I think we all were having one time. Like, even when it comes to like medical decisions, like everything, the marriage is on a different level. Like, in my opinion, the intimacy, the decision-making, the life, you can do all this with a person, but when you know that person is your wife or your husband, this is for eternity. You two are committed, and every decision that you make in life is going to be bounded with that person. And in my opinion, it's just different. Whereas if it's someone who is just like your boyfriend or girlfriend, if y'all been here for 10 plus 15 years, and I've talked with people who have been in long relationships and it wasn't marriage, like they don't feel the same. And I think it's because the void is missing, that person hasn't committed to them, like essentially on that specific piece of paper.
I think that sorry to cut you off. I think it's easy to say the marriage is a piece of paper. It's a license. It's a contract, because essentially there's truth to that. And since the beginning of time, that's what it's been, you know, and women were pretty much auctioned off to men to marry by their fathers, because, you know, a woman was supposed to be a wife and a mother and a homemaker, you know, period. You are put on this earth to serve a man in every way, shape, or form. That is how society has pretty much, you know,
grounded.
Exactly. So, you know, you were a piece of property. You were pretty much just bought. Like, back in the day, you couldn't get married. And when I don't even mean just like in the 40s, I mean like even beyond that, way before that, you couldn't even marry somebody if you didn't have enough money. Like, the fathers will let their daughters marry who was going to be able to financially support them, who was a good person, and more than likely probably a religious person also, but
Right.
somebody who had the means to take care of you. And so you even in still some cultures today, you have to pay to get your daughter, to be married, or like somebody has to pay. Yeah, exactly. Dowry still exists in other way, like, I mean, it could be anything. Like, some people have given like cows and like livestock.
Yeah, there was
Like
exchanges, cows, land,
exactly.
jewelry.
It's the exchange. Yep. So it's kind of like a business. So I get why you kind of feel that way, but like over time, I think that marriage has changed. And I mean, I've never been married, and I'm not married now, obviously, but just based on what I know about marriage and what I've seen and read, experienced from the outside, I think it's developed into much more than just a contract. There is love in a marriage, there is trust, but in some way it has to benefit both people, and it only becomes dysfunctional when it's only benefiting one person. Some people do marry for love, some people do marry for money or whatever else you can do for them, more in addition to the vows that you do take. But I wouldn't think of it as just a contract. I would consider it in most cases a partnership.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not necessarily a partnership. I'm not saying that at all. But what I think that I personally, and maybe just this because I haven't experienced it or I've seen it, because I haven't been married either, I haven't seen anybody who's been in a marriage that is essentially more successful together with the marriage than they were just as boyfriend and girlfriend, if that makes sense, or just as a fiance. But from my personal experience, I can't reference anything that says a marriage is of more value than just a relationship. Because I've seen people just in relationships have successful children, raise productive kids, and be happy as can be. But I've also seen people in marriages who have been as miserable as fuck, and they can't even keep their household together because they fighting every other day because they ain't happy.
Right.
Yeah. That goes back to the people being broken when they trying to get into a relationship.
Exactly. Yeah, that just depends on who you get in a relationship with. You can't blame them.
No. I know, but what I'm saying is, to me, I can't distinguish the difference between a boyfriend or girlfriend relationship being just as successful as somebody's marriage, who are both equally happy. So
you saying like it don't necessarily matter whether you married or not?
If y'all want to function a family together, y'all just function a family together.
Right. From what I've referenced, there's no difference to me. The only thing that technically is different is the legal document. That's it. And if you give somebody, what's the word I'm looking for?
Power of attorney?
There you go.
Why did I know what you were talking about?
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
But anyways, if you give somebody power of attorney, they have the same kind of authority as a person who's married.
So that's just as a powerful attorney is another piece of paper, another contract.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, but it's not a marriage. So is the marriage certificate just a legal document is what I'm saying. Because I haven't been able to see anything that differs from a happy relationship to a happy marriage.
A marriage certificate is a legal document, and
yeah, that's a
certificate. No, I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying the paper itself is the only difference from what I can reference. And I haven't been yet able to find anybody who's been able to give me legit, like, this is this is that, to be like, okay, a marriage is better.
I don't think maybe that's not the question. I mean, unless that's your question, but nobody can necessarily say marriage is better for you than a regular relationship, because that is up to your own personal interpretation, you and whoever you are with, and whatever is best for you and the person that you with. I think that's what y'all need to focus on doing.
What y'all agree on is how y'all want to function.
Exactly. Just because your parents say, girl, you've been with that man 10 years, y'all ain't been married, y'all need to get married. So now you feel like you need to get married. Now y'all rushing to get married because that's what your mama said you
Everybody
should do.
Was in your ear about something, and now you feel pressured to do it.
Exactly. You got to focus on what you and your partner think is best for you. Now, if a marriage is not best for y'all and y'all want to be together for 27 years without a legal document that says y'all are married, then that's y'all business, and that's totally fine. And society
Right.
should not shun people for not wanting to be married and wanting to just live together and have kids and do whatever they want to do outside of wedlock, because that's not their business. That's,
Right.
you and whoever you with, that only pretty much like belongs to y'all, like, but
It's their business, period.
but I don't know. I mean, maybe because your experiences with what you know about marriage has not been too much better than the experiences that you know about relationships, you might not see
That's
the point, but for some people it's better out there, but you have to find the people with that same common goal. It can't be one of y'all that wants to go into the marriage. Both of you guys have to be two functioning adults going into it with the same common goals, willing to benefit each other in the same ways, laying out whatever y'all want to lay out in y'all vows, whatever works for y'all. Then those type of relationships that turn into marriages, those probably work because everything is laid out. Everybody's on the same page. But if
they've talked about this.
Exactly. If you go into something where it's kind of shaky, y'all already been having problems in the past that y'all didn't work out between y'all, and then y'all didn't work out the problems that y'all had in the past outside of the relationship, and you try to bring that into a new home, into a marriage, that foundation gonna fucking break because it's not ready and withstand all that trauma. It cannot hold all that trauma. So I think that's when the problem comes in. But like
the broken marriages and the broken relationship
is different. If you're in a broken relationship, you have no business getting married.
Yeah, and what about the devotion of love? Like, that's where marriages come from anyways, like whoever's proposing, right? Marriage proposals come from the significant other devoting their love to someone and saying that, most of the time at least, saying that they want to spend the rest of their life with you. They don't want to leave. They want to be committed to you. They want to show you the world, be a knight in shining armor, and give you the world. They want to be everything that they can. And the way to show or profess that is through marriage. I don't know. I just think that, I'm going to be biased, because I'm married, and I just think that marriage is awesome. But like, all of us have our own different opinions. All of us are entitled to our opinions. And I guess when we all experience what we experience, we'll figure it out as life's journey comes upon us.
Yeah, and I don't want you to take that as me saying like I don't want to get married, because I definitely do want to get married. But
you're just not as stressed about it as society wants you to be.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think it's necessary for me to have a good partnership, because I feel like personally I'm in the best relationship I've ever been in my life. Like legit. And I would be perfectly content if we did not get married. Of course I want to get married, but I wouldn't be stressed if we did it.
I think that would just break my damn heart though. Like, why am I wasting my time with you? Like,
but like, if she doesn't see it as a waste of time, then then we can't make her see it as a waste of time. Then we would be
right,
like those other people in society saying that, Shannon, you been with that man 7 years, y'all got 2 kids and y'all ain't married. Then we'd be putting the same pressures on her.
I cannot be with a man who could look at me and say, I don't want to marry you, or I don't think marriage is for us. Like, that just my
in my opinion,
I never said that. Let me be clear. He's never said that.
I'm not saying he said, girl, this is not to you.
Shannon. I know. But I'm saying, even if he has said that, like, I don't think I would low-key be fazed by it. But I get what Tassi's saying, because it's like, if you got somebody who would say that, it's like, damn, well, do you really even really love me the way you say you do?
Absolutely. Like, if somebody came at me like that, or had no intention of marrying me after so many years, like, I'm done. Unless I felt like I was secure, unless I didn't want marriage, but who I am today, that's a goal of mine. So like, I wouldn't even like move further with you. I wouldn't even bring a child into the world with you.
And that's what the whole relationship is for.
Exactly. Like, I'm not dating to have fun.
How did we develop that persona? Where I'm coming from is, how did we develop that persona of, as we need that to be validated within the relationship?
Oh, well, I'm a child of God. It's in my Bible, so that's me. But what about
we didn't know that shit was already established from us from day one. Like I said, like, generations and generations and generations have said that this is what y'all supposed to do, and that shit has just been passed down, whether we've seen it in movies, books, TV shows, conversations from family, church, all that shit, social media, like,
so is that just a social construct is what I'm saying?
No, because I could have thought differently. I wasn't raised in a marriage. My dad has 1,000 kids, and then my mom was a single parent. You know, like I could have definitely thought that being on my own and independent was the thing to do. Like just because
No. I get. Let me. I don't mean to talk over y'all, but I'm just gonna use this as an example.
Okay.
Cassie loves fairy tales.
Yeah.
She loves them. She loves all the Disney movies, all this other stuff. So that right there, subconsciously, is a picture perfect image of a relationship.
Happily ever after.
Yeah, happily ever after.
Yes,
Aladdin.
that's me. So that's where I get it from for sure.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's already instilled and it's already put into the heads of women as young kids that they need to be married.
Exactly.
So why is that the image portrayed? How do we know that's better than just being in a relationship is what I'm coming from.
Because that's how they portray it.
People do portray it like that, but I do know this is like a made up fairy tale. I know life isn't that way, especially as an adult. I can now, logistically understand relationships and in the statistics of what life should be and how it could be. And I don't want to put my marriage or life on a pedestal like that, like a fairy tale, just because I enjoy them so much. And most of those fairy tales was white people anyways. I'm not racist. Yeah. I'm just saying, like they didn't portray
black people getting married.
They didn't portray. Tiana was a freaking frog
the whole movie
for 90 minutes of the movie. Exactly. Like, like
the whole movie.
So that's the only one we got to this day.
But
So
do y'all get where y'all understand where my question
so
more so
I'm gonna
now.
try to answer your question.
I do understand.
So we know that being in a marriage is how we're going to be happy and what we should do, because they always show those images to us. That's the propaganda that we've been fed our whole lives, especially if you want to think into, if you want to use the Disney movies or some shit as an example. Every woman needed a man to save her. She needed to kiss a man to solidify whatever deal, the marriage, the goal was everything Cinderella needed to do was to be married off so she can, be well off into society, Sleeping Beauty, couldn't wake up until she found her true love, So they portray it as if we need a man to show that they are the ones who are here to save us. That we need the man, So we've been prepped as children to think that in order to be a functioning female of society, you need to be married, or you need to have a man, and you need to be submissive, and you need to, everything you eat and breathe needs to be portrayed around that man, So of course we do see dysfunctional images and stuff, but not as much as what society has shown us to be good or functional. So I would say that we learn that is different from our own experiences, Like Tassie said, she could have easily thought that, everybody's supposed to be single parents. I know so many people that are single parents, and maybe it's okay to have children outside of wedlock. She could have easily done that, but her own experiences probably changed that view of thinking, and what she saw in the movies she might have liked, and she might have felt like, this is what I want for me, or she found a man who pretty much...
We came from a happy marriage, and he showed me what love is. He showed me what being a partner
was showed, and she felt like, okay, this is something that I want to be a part of for the rest of my life. So
this is pretty cool.
So she made that decision, like, okay, this shit ain't half bad. It's not all what it's expected to be. Like everything's not how it is in the movies, or the TV shows. So it worked out for her. Like me, I've seen dysfunction, between my parents. My dad has 7 children. My mom has 2. I remember them being together as a child and then not being together. And I've seen my dad move on to be with someone else who he, has been with pretty much my whole life after my mom. But, I could have easily thought like, okay, damn, like this is how relationships are supposed to go. Like niggas are supposed to be screaming and yelling all the time. Your daddy ain't supposed to pick you up on time. Like shit like that. But the way that it made me feel, I just knew from a young age, like this is not how I want to feel. So
this ain't
exactly. So for me,
but will a marriage change that? happiness.
Depending on who you get married to, like it's going to be different for everybody. I think that's what we come
So,
to.
but no. I just not even the whole full context of the
Will a
relationship.
marriage change?
You're saying marriage in general. We all just think differently. You think it's still
Right.
a piece of paper.
No.
I think it's
I'm
the version of
asking.
love.
I'm asking for a clear-cut answer.
Yeah.
So, marriage changes the happiness for a happy couple is the question.
Oh, I don't.
Does marriage change the happiness for a happy couple?
Right. Does it
Well-
make them even more happy than what they already are?
I mean, who's to say? That's something that you would have to ask a happily married couple.
Yeah. Marriage is a high when you first like.
Yeah, and then
newlywed,
it get regular as fuck.
Girl,
no.
it's a high.
They-
I thought you meant change in a bad way.
No. That's why I was like, wait a second. The question is keep going around. I get what y'all saying. I definitely understand that. But I'm trying to figure out if the marriage essentially will make somebody more happier, or is it only portrayed in the media?
Some people take pride in being husband and wife. So I think it definitely does. But I keep saying,
would you agree that
whoever
it
you
can
with.
be different across all boards?
Not all boards. I don't think so. Oh, yes, it will be different.
Every
across all
experience will
boards.
be different. I
Yeah.
feel like right now, I can't even say, marriage, me being married would be like, I'd be 10 times happier being married, because I don't know that I could be in a relationship and be content AF and then change my mind and think, you know what, like, I like the way things are going right now. This is what I want. I won't know what a marriage will do for me until I get into that situation, and until I feel like, maybe I do want a marriage again. And then I do get married and I figure out while I'm in there actually experiencing it, yes, this is making me happier than ever, or no, the shit is the same, or it's making shit worse. That's something that I feel like you can't answer until you are actually in the situation, because it's going to vary by situation.
Okay, so let's just wrap everything up. We want to touch on some key points that we kind of all were discussing. We started off explaining the difference between, having a child and getting married, and how important it is for individuals to be fair in a relationship, right? Evaluate yourself, make sure you're a positive individual in the relationship, or if you're with someone who's positive, and make sure you're happy. Make sure you don't care about the validation of others. Make sure that you're structured and okay with yourself, because who's going to love you if you don't love yourself, right? We also have different perspectives of marriages. You have the right to have your own opinion when it comes to marriage. Be whatever you and your significant other decide to do. If you guys want to stay in a relationship and you guys are content with that, you guys are happy and you're living your best life, do it. Do not care what other people think. Do not care what society is trying to push on you. You guys stick to y'all love and environment and keep it that way. If you want to be married, make sure you are with someone who is on the same page as you, because you will be devastated if that individual does not have the same wants or goals as you do, and you're going to wait 7 years. Okay. And it happens all the time. Same thing with the baby. Some people don't want kids and some people do want kids. And so make sure, like, whoever you're with, make sure communication is key so that you guys are happy. You guys aren't wasting your time, and be open to hearing other people out, because everyone's opinion is okay to be their own opinion. You have the right to have your own opinion, and life is good. Marriages is good. Everyone have the safe, fun, and happy relationships.
Sounds good to me.
Well said. If you guys like the content we're bringing, help us by continuing the conversation. Comment in the description below. Let us know what you guys are thinking, or if you guys have any questions. If you guys want to throw some topics our way, feel free to do so. Do me a favor and join us on all social media platforms at Minds That Matter, Minds That Matter Podcast, and Mindstat. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to all the podcast content. And remember, we are
Minds That Matter.